You're listening to Flaunt. Find your sparkle and create a life you love. After infidelity or betrayal, have you been betrayed by life, your body, or someone that you love? You're not alone. No matter what you've been through, Naked Self-Worth helps you regain confidence, joy, and enthusiasm so you can create a life you love and flourish. Tune in weekly and learn how.
Hello, welcome to Flaunt. Find your sparkle and create a life you love after infidelity and betrayal. I'm Laura Cheadle, and today is going to change your life. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that literally. Today, we are going to have Nicola Energy, an energy intuitive who specializes in releasing trapped emotion and recalibrating your subconscious beliefs. And if you're anything like me, after a betrayal, after going through infidelity, there are so many emotions that come up. And there's this tension sometimes between, yes, I want to express and I need to feel and I need to move. And oh my gosh, I'm going to be overwhelmed and I'm going to die if these all come out. And then you go through the process and you release some of them and you get through it. And then these beliefs come up and you're like, I'm not good enough. It was my fault. Even though I know it's not my fault, it's my fault. And what did I do? And when I met Nicola at a workshop, I was like, oh my gosh, she needs to come meet you because I know you have been through so much devastation too, and you need to hear her. So with that, welcome to my show. I am so happy that you're here.
Laura, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, dialing in from Europe. So it's an honor to be connected with you. And I love your zest and passion for life, and also your absolute focus on growth and empowerment and ways to transcend this aspect of the human existence. So I am so excited to share with you what I know and also some tips and tools and how this can, like you say, radically shift your perception and change your life. Like seriously, these understandings are profound, divine truth with a capital T.
Yes, they are. And at the same time, they're accessible to everybody and they're so basic. And that's what I love about energy work and what you do. So let's start with the very basics. What do you mean by energy? Because what you mean and what I mean is not flipping on the light switch and having the lights turn on. It's that internal energy. It's that energy bubble. So let's start there.
Yeah, brilliant question. I think it's so important to actually specify what exactly are we talking about, because bringing our conscious mind on board with an aspect of ourselves that ultimately is beyond the realm of intellect is super important. The conscious mind is still an important part of the show. So when we're talking about energy, I like to use this from my physics lessons. I studied physics up until I was like 18, and I literally don't remember hardly any of it, but I do remember that they always said energy is all there is. That classic equation from Einstein, E equals mc squared, energy equals matter times the speed of light squared. And it's like, okay, so energy is all there is, but how does that relate to us? So when you're asking what is energy, energy is all there is, but let's look at it in relation to you as a human being. So you are made up of your physical body. Let's call that the physical plane of existence. But under closer investigation, we know that your physical body is made of atoms. And under closer investigation, what are atoms made of? Well, they are orbiting electrons around protons and neutrons in the middle. And what are they made of? Oh, it's always more space than the particles. And actually, what really transpires it is a coalescence, a vibration, a field of energy at a rate of vibration that appears solid. So it's like, okay, so our physical body is an illusion, by which I do not mean it isn't real. I just mean it's not what it appears. So that's the first really important thing to have in mind. Energy is all there is. That is a fact of physics. And your physical body is actually energy. But let's take it a step further, because this is where the transformation really starts to click with the conscious mind about what's possible when we change our perception and then start working with energy. We've got your emotional body. Now, you can't put your finger on your emotional body. You can't prod it, but using a really common phrase that I'm sure you also have, that one where it's like, oh, I've got butterflies in my tummy. So what is that? What does that mean? That means you are experiencing a vibration in your stomach. Think of that sensation, butterflies, that movement. So that gives you an understanding and insight into when I'm experiencing an emotion that is kind of on the verge of excitement or anxiety, that is being perceived in my body as a vibration, that movement of energy. So your emotional body is energy. It's a vibration that moves through your physical body and around your physical body. So that's the next aspect of energy. And then we've got one last aspect of energy, and that is your mental plane of existence. Your thoughts, your intention. Thoughts move energy, thoughts are energy. You can't see them, but everything that has ever been created by man was first conceived in the realm of imagination. And I think often we do know that thoughts are very powerful, but I want you to think of them like a wand. Your word is your wand. So that is an aspect of energy that sends and directs energy. So those are the three planes of existence. It's all energy, and that's how you can understand it in relation to your experience on this earth. So does that hopefully make sense?
Yes, that was the perfect start. And I wrote down, your word is your wand. I absolutely love that.
You know what? That's from a lady called Florence Scovel Shinn. She was a metaphysical teacher from the turn of the century, and she is so cool.
I bet I need to look her up. That is amazing.
Yeah.
What I also really appreciated about this was thinking about the betrayal experience, the infidelity experience, not only for me, but for anybody, because it hits you on all planes of existence. It's not like, oh, I just had a really bad thought or something happened to my body. And I'm thinking about all the different kinds of betrayal. People will say, my body betrayed me when I got cancer. My body has betrayed me by aging. I was betrayed when somebody sexually abused me. I was betrayed when, my husband cheated on me. These big betrayals hit all levels. It's that mental thought, it's that emotional place, and it's also the physical body. And I really appreciated when you said butterflies in tummy. Because what I hear people say all the time around betrayal is it gutted me. And it is the, energetic sensation that you are gutted. And I love the validation from you that it is, something is happening in the energy. I'm not over exaggerating.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You are an empathetic, deep feeling person, and so many more people these days are becoming much more connected to that empathetic resonance, that frequency where you feel deeply. And it's like, no, you can't just intellectually go, okay, well, that happened, well, just move on. It's like, no, you need deep healing at a level that you can't get to with talking about it. Actually, you can go some way. Yes, that is super helpful, but you need to go deep into the levels of all aspects of your energy to truly be able to move on.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where I wanted to go next. You talk about releasing trapped emotion. Okay. First of all, how does it get trapped? Let's go there, because I think sometimes people say, but I cried it out, but I raged it out. What do you mean by trapped emotion?
Yeah, brilliant question. So I'm going to give you an example of when our body is energetically completely in alignment, then it gives us a much stronger opportunity to be able to experience and not hold on to an emotion. But then there is the circumstance where it is such an intense experience, it almost fractures your soul, that it is pretty impossible to not have that scar your energetic geometry. So I want to be really in depth about this and give you a kind of visualization about how you can keep your energy body and emotional body as clean as you possibly can, but then also understand what happens and what is a trapped emotion. So let's see you as an energy body. Let's put on our energy glasses, for example, and you are a coalescence, a vibration, a geometry of energy that's made up of electromagnetic, electrical, and subtle energy. So that's not just going in random patterns. That has a really distinct geometry to it. And when you are effectively grounded, which means you have a free flow of electrical and electromagnetic energy that is able to release into the earth. So that's why having bare feet on the earth is really important as much as you can. And also an open connection of energy from your crown, again, to release and receive. You want to think just being like a tree. You are releasing into the ground and receiving nourishment back up. You're respiring, bringing in carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen. Think of that, just replace that with yourself and emotional energy. It's got to be able to go somewhere. And so often in the modern world, we don't have the opportunity to be effectively grounded as much as we need to. And we also, that's one thing that can cause a trapped emotion. The second thing that can cause a trapped emotion is is having the tank too full of stress. And I don't mean, yeah, of course, stressful things can happen where we really feel it, but really the pace of modern life is a low level or a high level stress most of the time.
Yeah.
So when your energy system is in that alert, it kind of locks your system to a certain degree, and this can inhibit emotional energy, which is just like electricity. Just think of it like an electrical circuit. It inhibits emotional energy from releasing from your system. So those conditions of the modern world greatly increase the chances of holding trapped emotions. But a trapped emotion is simply a vibration. Every emotion has a different vibration. It's a frequency. It's just like receiving a mobile phone call. You can receive information instantaneously at a distance. That is information on a wave of energy. So emotions are just information on a wave of energy in your body. That's all we need to look at them as. And when it gets trapped, it's because it is felt with such intensity, that vibration of information has nowhere to go, and it lodges in a geometry, a spiral of your energy or a pattern of your energy. It ruptures it and it gets stuck in there. And it's like, you know, if you short circuit the house, or if an electrical device just goes, it's a bit like that. So that's what a trapped emotion is.
And that makes such sense. And I think all of us can relate to that, you know, that moment of, well, there's positive or negative, that shock where you're like, ah, and our words around it. I'm always amazed at the words that we actually use. I'm short circuiting. I can't handle all this.
Exactly. Totally. So that is in the way we describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're so intuitive, I believe, all of us, and we know what's going on. It's just been trained out of us.
Totally, absolutely. We have that language automatically, but it's not something we're schooled in.
Yeah, exactly. So it gets trapped in us. We have that. I think sometimes, I know for me, and I'm speaking for other people too, but I do think all of us sometimes will know this pain is stuck. You know, we'll think back to a memory or a time. I was in a car accident recently, and for quite a while after that, when I'd think about it, I would get that charge, and I would consciously, you know, try to shake and move and brush it off because I didn't want it. So I do think a lot of us are aware, but sometimes we don't know what to do about it. So what can we do about it when we have a situation like that where we're like, ah?
Yeah, brilliant question. I'm so sorry to hear that you've been through that shock, because it is a shock. So, first of all, giving yourself space to acknowledge and honor what is happening. And in the intensity of an immediate situation, that can obviously be quite difficult. It kind of blows up, and then perhaps you have space to give yourself time to honor what has happened. And I would say very often our culture doesn't give space to allow the truth of your experience in that moment, which is that vibration, to just be. Because if we resist, it will persist. And so, can you sit with it? And sitting with something that is so uncomfortable, oh my God, that is hard. But ultimately, I'll give you the self-care tools first. Giving yourself space to honor, accept what is. Can I actually sit with this right now, and just when I put on my energy glasses, I know it's a vibration in my body. Can I breathe slowly and deeply and simply be the witness to the sensation of the vibration in my body?
That's beautiful. I like to repeat that. Be the witness of the vibration in your body.
Yeah, can you just be the witness to the sensation and vibration in your body? Because ultimately, when we see you through the lens of energy and we take our monkey mind out of it, it is simply a vibration at a certain rate, at a certain frequency. We may, not help attaching that to all the meanings and the thoughts that go with it, but ultimately it is just a vibration. So honoring it, sitting with it, and breathing into it, and getting grounded. So, can you go outside and get your feet on the earth? And I love the way you, again, intuitively, you're so tuned in, because you were talking about, I just felt like I wanted to shake it off, or just really release that charge. Because when you see animals in the wild, like a deer is being chased and they manage to get away, and then if you're watching a nature documentary and then they're in safety, when they just realize they're suddenly safe, what they do is start to shake. So they will actually shake it out their body, shake that shock out of their nervous system, and then they go on eating the grass and everything's totally fine. They have an incredibly quick nervous system processing capability. So what can we do as animals? Well, we could put on our favorite tune and flail around our living room. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Stomp around the floor a bit and just be like, oh, yeah. So honoring it, sitting with it, breathing into it, and of course, doing some dancing around. The ancient Greeks called this ecstatic dance. It's to lose your sense of self and move your mind and body into a new plane. So those are the three things you can do in terms of self-care. Then, of course, some things you need help for. You need to find a practitioner who can support you. And one of the modalities that I use is called the emotion code. It's about identifying up to 60 trapped emotions. I do this with clients at a distance. We connect via Zoom, online, all over the world. And we tune into the frequency. We identify where it's come from, at what time in your life, even if it's been inherited. There's now scientific proof that shows emotions can be inherited, which is catching up to the more alternative ways of viewing energy. And you get someone to help you release that, because to be honest, if that doesn't get released, you will keep the law of reflection, the law of attraction. It will show up and keep saying, oh, here you are, I'm showing you, you've got this in your field. So how will you nourish yourself to integrate and transcend that, to come to wholeness? Otherwise, that's just going to keep coming up.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I recently started working with 2 different clients around domestic abuse, which is another form of betrayal. And both of them were saying, this is my 3rd incident. This is my 6th incident. Why is it that every partner I attract ends up doing this? And it's not my fault. What did I do? It's that vibration. And it makes me curious. What is inherited in that? What have I don't want to say have they put in, because that implies fault, and it's not really a fault-based thing, but what has happened that has increased that is causing this?
No, absolutely. And that was totally my experience. I came out of a relationship for 10 years, which was amazing, but it was in my 20s. And at the same time, my father died, and my mum and dad had the same relationship of domestic abuse. And it was a very weird, violent, angry home, and also amazing in lots of other ways. Do you know what I mean? That
Yes.
I grew up. So it's like, it's not all bad, and you know, it's all good in lots of ways. But because of his death, it wasn't the dying that was the problem. I had to reconcile the living, and that fractured something in me that brought out patterns over the next 5 years where the men I was attracting had addiction issues and were emotionally unavailable. But ultimately, what did that say about me? I had opened up the part of my shadow which said, you are afraid of intimacy, and you also have addiction issues, which I did for about 12 years. So until I energetically resolve that at deep levels of my being, then now I'm with the most incredible, amazing man of my dreams. And it's amazing. But I worked hard at that, and it was only energy that could get me to that level and really recalibrate myself. So yeah, I feel for them, because it's like, oh my God, what is this, like the mirror? What is going on?
Yes, exactly. And that leads to my next question about recalibrating those subconscious beliefs. I understand like that physical stuff, but the energetic mental belief, the intellectual belief, let's go there. Tell us more about recalibrating those subconscious beliefs.
Yeah, so this is something that I think is so transformative, because I'm going to give you a really good way to visualize this. Well, first of all, I'll say, have you ever heard, oh, do affirmations and like, you know, have positive sayings? And it's like, okay, let's think about where that positive saying or affirmation is operating in terms of your energy. It's operating in the mental realm. It's using your word, intention, and thought. But your subconscious is way below that. The energy of your subconscious is in your body, it's in your emotions. So if you're saying an emotion, you know, I trust myself 100% now, but the rest of you is like, not a chance, and you've got betrayal from 3 years ago, and you've got an inherited emotion of abandonment from your father. You could say affirmations till you are blue in the face, and it will move you a millimeter. So I want to give you another visual before I give you some more details about recalibrating subconscious beliefs. Imagine you have a little kid, and they've gone into the kitchen, and they have like got on the chair, got to that cupboard with the biscuits in, and they've got the biscuits down and they've eaten them. And then they put the chair back, and they're like, oh, I did a bad thing. And then you come home and you're like, have you eaten the biscuits? And they're like, no. Obviously, you know, instantaneously they're lying. It's not just the way they're talking, but imagine, again, put on your energy glasses. Imagine if you could see the little bubble of the energy field that they're in. What would be happening to that? It would be collapsing in on them. It's like, oh my God, I didn't tell the truth. And now everything is collapsing in. That electromagnetic field of their heart is just going. Whew. So that is the state of your energy field when something is not true. It collapses in on you, and it does not hold strength. Whereas if you say, my name is Laura, of course, your field is like, it is holding strong.
Yes.
So when I tune into a client, I am simply using my body as a, you know, a sender and receiver, as a transceiver. I have trained my body to be that, you know, methodology to tap into your vibration. We are asking it, is it safe for you to trust yourself 100% now? And then we give that a rating. Is that over 50% true? Is it under 50% true? And we actually give you an exact percentage truth calibration of a statement in your subconscious. And if it's only 10% true, that it is safe for me to trust myself 100% now, we need to clear all the emotions out that are in the way of that holding strong in your field and being the information that you give out beyond words. So when you meet anyone, your heart field is saying, I totally trust myself. So that is attracting someone who also trusts themselves, because it's like, it's the law of reflection and attraction.
That makes so much sense.
It's the mechanics of consciousness. Like literally, when you understand that, it's like, oh my God, I don't need to wonder why this keeps happening or like feel like what is going on. You just like, right, we need to release this, change your frequency in the now. It's all good.
I love that. I really love that. And it makes sense too, because we start adding layers and layers and layers on that. Like with the example, if you're telling the lie and you're not truthful, it starts collapsing. And then guilt starts coming in, and then more things starts coming in. And then you have that memory of 6 years ago and it just keeps going. And it's such a negative spiral down. Whereas if you can start accepting where you're at, accepting that, okay, I'm not in this great space. This statement is not true for me, and start clearing step at a time. You know where you're at. It's real. You can gauge where you want to go next. And I love that.
Yeah. And then when you clear it and we get to, it is safe for me to trust myself 100% now, and it's 100% true, then when you say that affirmation and engage the mental plane of energy, your emotional and physical plane is all on board. And that's when it all rocks up.
Right. Because you hear the term spiritual bypass, and I am so big at, we can't have a spiritual bypass. We can't just, going back to the word as a wand, we can't just say, I'm perfect and I'm healed, and bam, it is. But we also do have to know where we're going, and we do have to declare it, and we do have to do other things. It's the and that's what I appreciate so much about you and your work. It's not that it's just magic. It's clearing, but it makes sense on which level and where and how and to what degree. To what degree is huge.
And it gives you an opportunity to absolutely honor. Sometimes it's good to reflect. Sometimes you don't even need to know. But the most important thing is that your free will and your conscious mind is as big a part of the play of the game of life. And so are you going to integrate this? And that means, what actions are you going to change? I will give you a massive window of opportunity. I will help you feel and think differently. But ultimately, integration and changes in your actions has to cement this in your 3D reality.
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciated that about the tools that you gave us earlier. There's things that we can do, and sometimes we need help. Because isn't that true with everything? There's a lot that I can do, and there's a lot that I can't do.
Yeah, totally. You're an expert in what you're an expert in, like supporting women through your incredible personal experience and journey. And I'm an expert in something a little bit different. So of course we need to collaborate.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, we are going to take a quick break for a word for us from our sponsor. And when we come back, I would like to go in, if you're willing to play, into a little bit of a situation, into a real life situation, and then have you identify and pinpoint those energetic places, those emotional places, whether it's in the mind or the emotions in the body. So everybody who's listening can reflect and can take their own situations and might be able to be like, oh, I didn't think that was a physical thing, but I see how that works. Or, oh, I didn't see how that worked. Because I feel like the whole first half was the knowledge. And now I want to move a little bit more into the application, if that's all right with you.
Sounds great. Can't wait.
Okay, we will be right back.
I believe that women deserve to be seen for who they are, not for what they do, what they look like, what they sacrifice, how well they please, or who they are in relation to others. I believe that being smart, sexy,
and spiritual are not mutually exclusive concepts, and that women everywhere are tired of pretending that they are. I believe that it is time to disrupt our prevailing beliefs around what makes women worthy. It is time to empower all women to strip out of the labels, roles, scripts, judgments, and stereotypes that have been thrust upon them by a patriarchal society. Imagine a world where every woman has naked self-worth and validates, values, and shows herself without fear or shame for who she is, instead of striving to be who she thinks she should be. Imagine how unstoppable, beautiful, and free our world could be. Imagine being free to live life on your own terms, waking up every day with enthusiasm for what's to come, experiencing joy in spite of any external circumstance, and falling into bed at night with the rich satisfaction of a life well lived. When we flaunt, we disrupt the silence around judgment, stereotypes, and the way others control us through the intentional mischaracterization of who we really are and what we value. When we flaunt, we are clear that the judgment of others says everything about the quality of their character and nothing about the worthiness of our own. When we flaunt, we are no longer complicit in any untruth, and we stand clear in our identity and powerful in our own unshakable, naked self-worth. And we are back talking about all things energy, 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 and how to release those trapped energetic emotions inside of us, those charges that we just can't seem to release, that keep circling back around. This show is primarily focused on betrayal. And that's what we're going to do next, is talk about that typical kind of a betrayal situation and how it keeps looping back around, and how it traps us, and how to recalibrate the subconscious beliefs around that, so we can finally truly not just move on and let it go, but move on and truly let it go by letting it flow through our body, by letting it flow through our emotions. So let's dive in with some application of all that we learned, shall we?
Yes, sounds great, Laura. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so you mentioned some tools that we can use in the beginning of the show. Sitting with our emotion, breathing with it, going outside with bare feet, shaking, dancing, moving. And then you also mentioned that sometimes we need a little bit of extra help. Okay, so I come to you and I say, my husband betrayed me, which is true. This is true. This is all true. My husband betrayed me. I've sat with a lot of my emotion. I've cried it out. I've been brave. It was something that I had to tackle on an intellectual level as well. In my case, my husband probably has some inherited issues. Yeah, definitely abandonment. He was an abused child. There's a lot of fear. I don't have those, but because I was in a relationship with him, and then now because he's betrayed me, I feel energetically connected. I understand. I've processed, but it still hurts.
Oh my God, I bet.
Yeah. So how do you work with me through that? What is that next level that we go through? Because for me and for all of you listening, there's a lot that we've done, but now what?
Yeah, absolutely, Laura. And what incredible work you have done. And I'd just like to honor how incredibly brave you are to be able to actually share this with such candor and vulnerability. And that in itself is just a massive part of healing, and that will help others. So it really makes me very moved that you're actually able to stand up in such a brave way and be so authentic. So that is a part of your story and purpose in some way. So yeah, literally hugs and applause for that, for starters.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But of course, again, it sounds like you have put in some incredible groundwork. You've done the, I'm looking at this, I'm sitting with this, I'm really processing this, and it is a process. Any form of grief, because it's no different to someone dying, actually, to that type of, emotion, that betrayal. You're going through the same grieving process, and that does take an aspect of time. But before we perhaps go in to identify some emotions in you that we would then perhaps go on to clear, I would like to ask you, now you've had enough time and enough distance to that event, perhaps the time is right to ask you, what is your vision for you without betrayal? What is your vision? If you could say, my vision for myself for this day forward, which is not including betrayal, what is that? What does that hold? What qualities does that hold for you? In feelings, or just even a picture of how you want to be living your life. So let's just anchor that first.
Okay. I think my vision around that is true freedom. Freedom from having to protect myself. Freedom to just let the joy flow, let my gifts flow, not having to be defensive and look out, something might be coming.
Yeah, brilliant. I love that, because again, you are intuitively tapping into the heart consciousness and the true nature of the heart, which resides in unconditional love. And electrically, your heart is actually 60 times more powerful than your brain. So imagine that electrical field that is emanating from you, from your heart. So residing in that place of the heart, and you have obviously done so much work for that to be the first thing that comes out of your mouth when I ask you, what do you vision for yourself? Because true freedom is to be able to love unconditionally, love yourself, and therefore others. It has to come from loving ourselves unconditionally first. And then, yeah, being willing to know that, okay, things might happen that might hurt me, but it doesn't matter, because I am so strongly emanating unconditional love for myself and others, which is true freedom. So first of all, important, anchoring the vision of you that is separate to what has happened, and true freedom and living from a space of unconditional love is just beautiful. So that's an important place to start. But then, of course, we do want to, I use a modality, one of the modalities I use is called the emotion code. Right. And we will tune into you in a moment, and we'll see, are there any emotions that perhaps want to come into the light of awareness? Maybe there is some shock, even from the car accident recently, for example. So maybe if we identify the top two, just to give people an idea of how this would work.
Right.
I won't be able to go through a full clearing session with you, but let's give them an idea of how this works. And then maybe we could also look at a subconscious belief, and let's calibrate that for you. Let's see, what is your vibration resonating at the moment? So yeah, let's do that. So I would love you to just close your eyes for a moment and take a really slow, deep breath in and out through the nose. Keep breathing in and out through the nose if it's comfortable for you, and make the out breath slightly longer. Then take your breath into your heart center, all your focus, attention, awareness in the center of your chest, dropping down into this space, and feel the sensations of the beat of your heart as I tune in and connect to you, calling on any and all help necessary for your highest good, Laura, knowing you are completely protected and in and of the light only, asking what are the priority emotions that are ready to be released from your emotional body, physical body, mental body, and let's find out where those are. Testing for Laura, I'm simply using myself as a biofeedback mechanism, asking yes or no questions. The energy flow in my body either allows a muscle test to stay strong, or it releases. It is a flow that courses through my body to give me this biofeedback from me tuning into your vibration at a distance. So let's see, I'm going to use a chart to identify up to 60 emotions. Testing for Laura, testing for Nicola. Yes, we are connected. What is the priority emotion that would make the biggest positive impact to release from Laura right now, to align her with a future where she is living and embodying the vibration of unconditional love? Column A, yes. B, no. Odd, yes. Even, no. 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. It's abandonment. There is an emotion of abandonment, and that's coming up is the heart. Yes, that is over your heart center right now. Let's see what the second priority emotion is. Let me just see, is that Laura's? Yes. What is the second priority emotion? A, no. B, yes. Odd, no. Even, yes. 2, 4, 6. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Shock. Is this in the last 6 months? Yes. So I'm thinking that shock is actually from that car accident. Okay, just stay with your breath and breathe into your heart, and let's calibrate this subconscious belief. It is safe for me, for you, Laura, to live and be the vibration of unconditional love now. So it is safe for me, for you, Laura, to live and be the vibration of unconditional love now, which is the truth of your being. How true is this statement for Laura? Is it over 50%, under 50%? It is actually over 50%, over 60, 70, 80, 90, okay. Is it 50 to 55? Yes. 55 to 60? No. 50, 51, 52? Yes. So 52% true. So just take a breath and then open your eyes, and we can reflect on that. And I can feel that, Laura, because you have such a big heart, and you are connected intuitively to some big truths of your energy and your being. So it doesn't surprise me that actually it's 50-50, that it's safe, because you know that's the truth, but there is some work to do. So, you know, it's not like we're at 2%. So that is a testament to the incredible work you've been doing. And then the two emotions that came up, yes, abandonment, over your heart center, this place of big electromagnetic energy, information, emotional energy gets stuck there. And also shock in the last 6 months. That's a priority to actually release from your nervous system. And the modality that I use, the emotion code, developed by this incredible guy called Dr. Bradley Nelson, who works privately with Tony Robbins. That's how, you know, profound and incredibly transforming this modality is. then I would go through a process of very simply releasing that vibration from you.
Love it. Listeners, I want to describe my experience a little bit, because you can work with Nicola too. You can do this. You too can have a session. And this is just a demo, so you can see, so you can understand how it works. This isn't like, bam, and that was it. As I was resting, as I was breathing, as I was focusing on that, I was feeling something in my heart. And I was feeling this charge that was outside of my body a little bit. And I thought, yeah, this is familiar. This is that feeling. This is that contraction, that gripping. And as she was saying, breathe, breathe, I was thinking, can I name it? Oh my gosh, she's going to have me name it. And then I was like, ooh, we're totally connected. I feel her love. It was like somebody just coming up and putting their hand on your leg or on your shoulder, just that reassurance of, I'm here. And I was like, oh, we are connected. And then again, I had that moment of anxiety that I feel this, but I don't know what it is. Oh my gosh, she's going to ask me what it is. And it was right then that she said abandonment. And I was like, oh, that's the word for it. That is the word.
Yeah, that's the frequency. So yeah, and I love how kinesthetic, which means the feeling in your body and energy that you were experiencing through that. And can I just say, it doesn't matter if you don't have that experience, this works. If we're very in our mental plane of existence and haven't made the journey into our heart or our energy, this can still work. So don't worry if you're like, oh God, I'm not sure that would work for me. It definitely works.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Okay, so everybody who's listening, who is like, I've got to reach out to her. This is amazing. First of all, where can they get a hold of you so they can have a similar experience, so they can have a session? And then after you tell them where they can get a hold of you, then what would be that next step? How would you go about clearing that? What can they expect next? Because okay, it's here, it's abandonment, it's shock. Now what?
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer your first question, well, my website, you can go to my website and book a free clarity call with me if you want to find out more about working with me. But what I will say is I always work with my clients for 10 sessions, because over the course of my experience, I know how to support someone through a transformation. And as we said in the beginning, we can radically shift your energy. And what if you just go away and don't put that into action in your life, in terms of having a bit of accountability to say, okay, well, am I going to make that phone call to that person? Or am I going to actually change some of my habits to create a new reality? So I always work with clients for 10 sessions over 3 months. And if you want to find out more, you can book a no obligation clarity call. You can find the details on my website, which is www.nicola.energy. So it's not .com, it's .energy.
Love that. And I will put that in the show notes too. Nicola.energy. Yes.
Amazing. So please reach out. I'm delighted to answer any questions. And I've actually got 3 free guided healings coming up on my Facebook page, where you can log in online and I'll take you through a bit of a process where we just do some clearing and do some groundwork, basically. So they are going to be super transformative. We're talking about forgiveness and liver. We're talking about relax and the nervous system. And we're talking about self-love and heart. So 3 really powerful topics to do some deep work. So that answers your first question. The second question, what to expect next? Well, what we didn't get an opportunity to do is actually go to the space that we do this work in, where I would then release the emotions, and that is a healing temple. I actually work with a team of 46 spirit doctors who work in a healing temple that has been there for eons of time, and they work with frequencies of light. Some of them have been embodied on the earth plane. There are earth shamans, acupuncturists, and it's working with this team. I take you into a deep state of meditation, and we say an invocation to hold you in this space, and then we do the clearing. So there's different ways that I work in that space. I'm not going to go into details about all of it, but I'll give you insight into how we clear the emotions. So in the quantum field, we are absolutely connected and can be connected as a vibration. So by me using a magnet over a particular meridian, a highway of energy on my body called the governing meridian, it actually releases the charge from the part of your energy, in this case, abandonment coming from the heart, and shock coming often stored in our kind of pelvic region. So that is how we move energy at a distance, by using a magnet and releasing it from your vibration.
Got it. Got it. So you're in the UK and you can work with people everywhere, and you would connect on Zoom and you would do it over you, which is, and then in the quantum field would then clear it over me.
Exactly. And you are held in this healing temple of light, also with the spirit doctors. And I also like to give people specific, energy tools. Like I will give them, hold these 2 points, which make space in your nervous system. So there are practical tools that can empower you, in addition to the actual clearing work that we do.
Okay. Now this is the money question here. I can hear so many times in my head when clients or friends, because I feel energy, I believe energy, I can move energy with my hands, I get all that. Yeah. But so many times I've had people say, but I don't believe in it. If I don't believe in it, is it going to work? And I want to hear your answer to that.
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. So I would say that can be yes and no. So for example, I didn't believe in energy. I thought people who talked about energy were annoying. I was like, oh my God, those people talking about energy, Jesus. So, and that was up until I was 30. So it was only when I reached a deep crisis in my life and I ended up taking a flight on my own to the depths of the Amazon jungle. And I spent 6 years back and forth working with a shamanic tribe called the Shipibo tribe in ceremony, that I realized that there is a mechanics of consciousness that is beyond what we are taught in school. So if that person doesn't believe in energy, but is curious to gather some direct experience, great. If they are so resolutely determined to perpetuate that belief and they are so closed off, the force of their will could potentially mean that it doesn't work until perhaps something really drastic happens to them and cracks them open. Then they have no choice. So I would say Einstein, one of my absolute heroes, he has a quote at one point at the height of his career. He is like perceived as the height of scientific rationale. This quote from Einstein is like, everyone around the world bows down to me, but I bow down to Peter Danov, who is a Christian mystic who purports all of these energy and consciousness techniques. So I'm going with Einstein, actually. I'm on his side. So if you don't believe in it, hang out with Einstein for a bit, read a bit about him, because that will satisfy your intellect requirement and scientific nature, but it will open you to the mystery of life and the fact that it's a way more magical place to be. Get with the party.
I love that. Yeah, it is true. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for your ability to break it down clearly, intellectually, physically, everything, for bringing in left brain, right brain, Einstein and magic. There's room for both. And yes, and for demonstrating with me so our listeners can see what it's like to have an energy session, that it isn't woo-woo voodoo dolls and stuff. It's real, it's breathing, it's connection, and it's feeling.
It's diagnostic, it's specific, we're tapping in, it's completely bespoke, it's not hoping anything, we are getting in there, we are diagnosing and releasing, and that is absolutely possible. So Laura, you are a gem, and I've had such a fun time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too. And www.Nicola, Energy. Have an amazing week, everybody. Tune in, ground, breathe, feel your emotions, feel your energy. Even if you don't believe it, but especially if you do, just think about it. Just feel it and see where you are at. And then tune in to Nicola and take it to that next level. Have an amazing week. And as usual, always remember to flaunt exactly who you are, because who you are is always more than enough.
Tune in next time to Flaunt, Find Your Sparkle, and Create a Life You Love After Infidelity or Betrayal with radio host and live choreographer Laura Cheadle every Wednesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Develop naked self-worth and reclaim your confidence, enthusiasm, and joy so you can create a life you love and embrace who you are today. Download your free Sparkle Through Betrayal Recovery Guide at nakedselfworth.com.